Hey, welcome back to the Courageous Nerd YouTube channel for another interview. Joining me today is actor Nathan Blair from the new Netflix film We Can Be Heroes. We discuss all about Nathan's character Wildcard, working with director Robert Rodriguez, how he got started in acting, and how familiar he was with Sharkboy and Lavagirl, on which We Can Be Heroes is continued from. If you enjoyed this interview or any of the others on the channel, please be sure to like and subscribe. Great, so welcome and thank you for taking the time to do this.
Of course, I'm glad to be here.
Great. And I suppose, how did you first discover your interest in acting and what inspired you to pursue it as a career?
I guess I always liked it. I never really thought of it. I never really thought of doing it. I never thought like it was a thing I could be able to do. But when I was really young, I'd always perform. I'd always reenact scenes from my favorite movies like Star Wars, Back to the Future. So I'd always act, I guess, but I never really thought like, oh, I could do that because I never thought that was an option for me. But then I was sent to an acting camp about like 5 years ago or something. And through that acting camp, we had a showcase where agents and managers came in. That's where I met my manager, and she showed me my agent and all that. And so that's how I kind of got into it. I was kind of like put into it. Like I wanted to do it, but I didn't know like I was actually doing it until like they said agents and managers are coming to see, and if they like you, they're gonna try to get you in actual movies. I'm like, okay, and I guess it worked. Because I mean now I'm in Heroes, but yeah, I never really like. I never was like I want to be an actor because I just never really thought I was like I had the abilities to get to be an actor. So that's kind of how it happened. Yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose kind of in a general sense, like what other actors would you look up to or admire? Like whether it's anyone who's like around your age or anyone who's older, just kind of like who do you look up to?
I look up to Leonardo DiCaprio.
Mm.
I think he's a good actor too. Uh, I really like all the movies I've seen him in and how he like. I think it's so cool he's able to play one certain character, but then in another movie it's a totally opposite character. So like Jack from Titanic is not the guy from Django Unchained, you know. It's very different characters. And he also does a bunch of different accents, and I think that's really cool. I also like Daniel Day-Lewis because like he gets into this method acting, and I think that's kind of cool. I don't know if it would really work for me, but I think it's kind of cool how he really becomes a character. So I think I like them. I think they're cool.
Yeah, and as you already kind of briefly mentioned, you were in We Can Be Heroes for Netflix. I believe your characters are called Wildcard, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously it's like a continuation of Sharkboy and Lavagirl. And just considering like your age, how familiar were you with the film? Like you wouldn't have been like were you very young when it came out, or were you born?
I was born the year Sharkboy and Lavagirl came out.
Okay.
So yeah, I was really young. And then like when I was like 10 or something, it was on Netflix. So I saw it with my sister. Like, oh, that's cool. I like that movie. Must have been fun for the actors because it's all green screen and flips around. And then when I got this, I didn't really connect the dots because it didn't really say Sharkboy and Lavagirl in the thing. It just said it's called We Can Be Heroes. It's with kid superheroes for Netflix. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then when I got a little more information, I was like, oh, it's Sharkboy and Lavagirl. That's cool. So it's not really a sequel, but it's kind of like similar to it, and they're in it. So it's kind of like the same universe and everything. But it's pretty cool. And I remember like watching Sharkboy and Lavagirl with my sister, and we loved the movie. So to be part of that whole Robert Rodriguez film universe is pretty cool, and I was really excited, especially to meet Taylor Dooley, who plays Lavagirl. That was really cool.
And I suppose for anyone who hasn't seen We Can Be Heroes yet, how would you describe Wildcard?
I describe him as like kind of a little edgy, I guess, because he wants to be the leader and he wants people to follow him. But he doesn't realize being the leader means also following the team and kind of listening to the team too. So yeah, he doesn't really realize that. So he's kind of like the cool kid in the back who has to learn how to believe in others as well
Yeah.
as trying to focus on himself. So I guess he's that. He's the cool kid in the back
Right. And I
who likes to boss
suppose, sorry,
who
go
likes
on.
to boss people around.
Yeah. I was just thinking that how would you compare that character and the project to your other work that you've done so far?
Very different.
Mm,
Because I did another Netflix show called Best Worst Weekend Ever, and that
right.
character is like he's all timid and really nice, and he just lost his dad, and he's all like he's sad, and he loves comic books, and he's kind of a nerd, but they're like different in that way,
Yeah.
but they're similar because they're both leaders, and they both like being like they have an idea and they have a plan, and that's the plan they want to execute.
Yeah.
So they both kind of similar, but also kind of different. So that's how I would compare him to that.
Right. And
Yeah.
obviously, like when you found out you booked the role, did you have any kind of pressure when you think of who else was going to be in it? Obviously, you got Christian Slater and Priyanka Chopra, Pedro Pascal. Like, was there any kind of sense of awareness of those kind of people? Or
Um, there was like at first when they told us who it's gonna be, and I'm like, oh my god, Christian Slater is gonna play my dad. You kidding me?
mm,
So at first I was like, ugh. But then when he came on and I met him, all of them just being super nice, really just like took the edge off and was like, okay, they're cool. And they kind of give us advice like, just be calm, don't worry, everything's gonna be fine. You guys are doing great. So it's kind of like, okay. So once we got to meet them and they were all really nice, it kind of like just calmed us all out and we're like, okay, this is gonna be good. And then we got to do the scenes, and in the scenes while we were shooting, they were all really fun. And we're like, oh yeah.
mm,
So that's how it kind of went. When we met Priyanka, it was on set and she came, she's like, oh my god guys, hi, and she was all really nice and she was like, oh, so excited to be there. So that was it. Kind of, there was an edge when I heard who's going to be in it, but then when I met them and realized they're really cool people and they're excited to be there as well, it kind of just evened out and everything was fine.
yeah. And just in an earlier answer, you mentioned Robert Rodriguez. And I suppose how was your experience working with him? And obviously, as well as this, he was behind Spy Kids and like similar kind of tones. I suppose
Yeah,
how was that experience?
the experience was really cool because he was kind of like a big kid.
Mm,
He always draw with us. Me and Lion, who plays Noodles, we created this dino wall, which is just the exterior of one of the hallways.
yeah.
We draw dinosaurs or something. We put them up there, and Robert came backstage. He's like, "Oh my god, that's so cool!" So he went, he drew a dinosaur, and he put it up. He's like, "Yeah." So he was like really cool that way. And then directing wise, he was always like telling us his idea, and he always had everything that he wanted to do, and it was all planned out. And he was just really cool. And I like directing as well, so I asked him
Mm,
some sort of questions, and uh, he uh, he answered them for me, which is cool. And then one day was really cool. When we did the table reads, I would always smile, like I couldn't stop smiling,
right.
because my dad always points that out. He's like, Nathan, you're smirking. I'm like, oh. And then, but then Robert said, you know, I've noticed every time we're doing the table reads or rehearsing, you can't stop smiling. But as soon as we're shooting the thing, you're in character. So I was like, all right, that was like pretty cool of him to
Yeah.
say. So I was pretty grateful that he said that. So he was just really nice to us. He was like a big kid on set, and he was excited about everything.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, aside from We Can Be Heroes, are there any other projects that you've got coming up? Obviously, with COVID, obviously it's been difficult, but do you have anything else coming up you could discuss?
Well, I have been going some auditions, and I think I did pretty well on those. So
Mm,
hopefully, I hear back from those. I can't really say too much about what it is because but
yeah,
also the
sure.
sequel is coming out, which is pretty cool. So
Mm,
I can't wait to go shoot that. So hopefully, super big year in 2021.
yeah, and I'm just thinking, does anyone who's reading or watching this interview who might want to find out more about your work or you personally, where could they look for that kind of information?
Instagram, right now is probably the best way. It's Nathan_Blair_LA.
Mm,
That's the best way. And then I have a YouTube channel. It's called Nathan Blair. So every now and then I'll post a little movie that I make up there, or like just a video, fun video. So that's where
yeah,
you can probably keep up with me.
And just kind of, it's the last question I've got, and just kind of tying back to something you said, like what do you hope to accomplish with the rest of 2021?
Well, I'd like to definitely do more different kinds of movies. I'd like to do possibly a drama. I'd like to do that. And I don't know, maybe I'll get around to directing a movie, a short film that I can put on YouTube. But we'll have to make sure there's time for that. So hopefully with 2021, I'd like to maybe direct a short film and do some more different genre movies.
Yeah, that sounds great. So thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, of course. It was
Yeah,
fun.
and take care.
Yep, you too.